And this is the fourth season, and we're talking about love affairs. And for today's video, I want to tell you a story. A story that happened to me a long time ago. I must have been, I don't know, 6 years old, a child, and of course, as a child with very little understanding of everything. And it's something that I just came to understand very recently, just like so many years after that moment. Here's what happened. I used to live in a house by that time, and we had a garden in shape of U behind the house, and I would often go there to play, of course, because I wanted to be outside. I was a kid that wanted to be outside all the time. I wasn't a kid into staying home and video games and so on. I wanted to stay outside. So I was playing in the grass, in the back of the house, in the garden, and so on. And there were always birds around because we had trees and so on. And I always wanted to catch the birds. Don't ask me why. I wanted to catch them, not to kill them, of course. I wanted to pet them. I wanted to have them like, I don't know, a dog or a cat. I wanted to pet them. And I could never catch them for obvious reasons. So one day I decided to be strategic. I sat in the grass, and I just stayed there very calm. I didn't do much. So birds started flying around and so on, and they were not so afraid, and they got close and so on. And one got very close, and it was close enough for me to capture him with a kind of a bowl. I took this bowl, this small ceramic bowl from my home, and as the bird got close to me, I put it over him. I put it on top of the bird, and I captured him. And I did a small hole in the bowl, carving with something, so that the bird could breathe. But I was like, nice, now I captured it. Now I have it for me in my hands, and I want to keep it. So I didn't even want to lift the bowl because I was afraid that the bird could escape. So I just left it there. I didn't tell anyone in my family, and I did the hole so that the bird could breathe. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how. Following day, I come back in there, and I check the bowl, and I don't see the bird moving. And in the previous day, when I captured it and I dig the hole, it was moving all the time, and like crying and trying to fly away and so on. And today, that day, the second day, it wasn't moving. And I was like, birdie, birdie, what's going on? And I was looking at it to see if the bird was moving, and it wasn't. So I lift very slowly the bowl, and I want to have a look at what's going on, but very careful so that the bird doesn't escape. And to my surprise, the bird was dead. And when I saw that dead bird as a creature that had been killed by my hands, because that's exactly what I did, I killed the bird, I cried so much. I cried so much. I asked the bird for forgiveness, and I felt horrible. I felt horrible. And from that moment on, I could never imagine myself doing any harm to any animal again. And when I saw people doing harm to animals, I felt very bad, and I felt sometimes mad at the people. But this is a season in which we're talking about love affairs. And what is the connection between stupid young child killing a bird and love, dating, and everything that has to do with eros? Well, in my opinion, it has a lot to do, because it taught me a very important lesson. And this lesson was birds, animals, but also people, they don't belong to you. They are not your property. And you should not treat them like that. A lot of people will listen to this video and will think, oh, so you're telling me that I should just let people do whatever they want when I'm dating them. I should accept whatever actions, whatever they do, and I should never complain because they're not my property. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. You should not accept when people mistreat you. You should not accept when people lie to you. You should not accept when people cheat on you. I'm not saying that you should accept these things. But at the same time, you should not treat people as your property. You should not believe that they belong to you, that you own them, and therefore you can engage them somehow and have them under your control, under your wings, and control their emotions and attitudes and where they go and what they do and what not. It's not the way love works, at least for me. The way I understand it is you should always encourage the person that you're with to pursue his or her dreams. You should help this person achieving this person's goals. You should be happy and cherish when this person achieves what this person is looking for. And you should be always stimulating this person towards those goals. And then you ask me, what happens if those goals part us, separate us? If you really like this person, you will understand that. You will not stop loving this person, but you will understand that you need to depart. That happened to me once, but I was on the other side. I was the one searching for something, and my girlfriend, she was in a position in which she supported me, but she knew that if she supported me, we would separate. We wouldn't stick together because I would move to another country. And with all the suffering, she supported me. Her dream was to have children, a kid, or maybe 2 or 3 with me. And she never cheated on me on terms of not taking the pill because she was into the pill, or doing something with the condoms or whatever when she wasn't on the pill, in order to have a child. And it was the biggest dream of her life, to become a mother. And even though she was a little bit jealous, I must admit, she never did something in order to damage our relationship or to ruin my plans or to go against my dreams and so on. And that taught me a beautiful lesson as well in terms of relationships. And that's what I do nowadays. I try to not ruin the person's life. I try to not ruin the person's dream. I try to not act in a way that is going to cut the person's liberties and the person's chases, the things that the person is chasing, pursuing and trying to achieve and accomplish. I try to not cut that. I try to not be a barrier to that, an obstacle, a burden in the person's life. And sometimes it's going to happen that we will have to part ways. And you will have to live with that. You will have to accept that. And if you are one of those people who is afraid of love, who is afraid of suffering, who is afraid of engaging into something and maybe losing that something, my advice for you is do not start a long-term relationship. Do not start something with someone if you feel you can fall in love, if you feel you are really liking this person somehow. Cut it off as soon as possible. Cut it off as early as possible. I know it sounds weird. It sounds illogical. It sounds like the worst advice that I could give you. But if you're not ready for understanding that sometimes with love you will suffer, and if you have to break up with this person, it's going to be a very, very, very difficult moment, and you will suffer a lot, and you will feel super weak, and it will be a terrible moment in your life. It can last a couple months, sometimes more. Don't engage into a relationship, because you will never be able to offer as much as you could, and you will never be able to dive without fear, jump heads into the swimming pool of love, because you will always be afraid of what can happen, of what could happen in case you would lose that, in case you would really fall in love and feel somehow vulnerable or weakened because of love. And unfortunately, this is a tendency that we are seeing nowadays among a lot of people. They prefer to not fall in love. They prefer to not engage into a serious relationship, offering all their feelings, because they are afraid of a future not yet arrived suffering, or playing a full role in case the other person does something bad against them. And this, for me at least, is the most anti-love position you can assume. The position of cowardice, of fear, of being afraid of what can happen in the future that hasn't happened yet, and act in a way that stops you from diving deep in a relationship and really building something with someone because you are afraid of future consequences. Don't start a relationship if you are in that position. It's going to be bad for you and it's going to be bad for the person. Find a way to strengthen yourself so that you can handle pain, suffering, and difficult times without completely falling apart and being broken into pieces and never recovering. Because that's the only way you are going to be able to offer a lot and receive a lot. See you in the next episode.